Hello and welcome back to the book club. The club where we talk about books we've been recently reading and enjoying. Let me know what you've been recently reading and enjoying, and if you've read what I'm about to talk about, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. I think Oathbringer has taken me the longest to read so far out of the Stormlight Archives. I think I did Way of Kings in maybe a month or two, and a similar time frame for Words of Radiance, and Oathbringer honestly took me about 6 months to read, and this is for a few reasons. One of the biggest ones was I went through a lot of life changes. I moved out of my house, so I was adapting to a new routine that didn't necessarily suit reading as much as my previous one. So I kind of fell out of the rhythm of reading, and while I'm starting to get back into it, the other thing as well is I found this book probably the most hard going out of the 3 books from the Stormlight Archive that I've read so far. That's not to say that I didn't still love Oathbringer, and the Stormlight Archives isn't still probably my favourite fantasy series that I've read so far. It's just I found this book a little bit stuck in its ways compared to the other two. The other two felt like it was a constant shifting, moving story, and it felt like the pace was going in a direction, and I was interested throughout the story of the first two, and I don't know what it was, but Urithuru or whatever the place is called where they go to, I still don't know how to pronounce half the things in this book, but the place that they go to and essentially spend the first probably 3/4 of this book at, I didn't connect with it as a place. I didn't love the sort of mystery surrounding the place, and I also didn't love the direction of Shallon's character. I don't know what it was, but it was like frustrating to me, which I know it was supposed to be frustrating because her character was sort of diving off the deep end, getting like as if almost confused with her different personalities and dealing with her past that we discovered from the previous book. But I didn't love it. I think I really enjoyed her character from the first book, and it just sort of felt a little bit random and off-piece that she suddenly just went off the rails as she did. I think it sort of brought it back a bit more towards the end, but just throughout the book, I just felt it a little bit like almost irritating whenever a Shallon chapter came along. I was a little bit like, oh, here we go again. And again, I feel like I'm not going to reread it, like, at least for a long time, but there is a part of me that wonders if my sort of disjointed reading this for 6 months almost made it a little bit more so that I felt like Urithuru was dragging, or the first sort of half of the book was dragging, because I did sort of spread out my reading across, and maybe that affected my sort of intake of the story a little bit. I'm not entirely sure, so I'm going to take it with a pinch of salt. But like I said, that's my only gripe. Now that that's out of the way, I'm going to praise this book because it's still an incredible addition. I think this is probably my least favourite of the 3 that I've read so far, which is quite interesting because I've now seen online that a lot of people say that this is probably one of their favourites or some of the best. But for me, Way of Kings was the start of it all. It was the start of the journey. It was the world building. It felt like I was entering into this magical place, and I loved the sort of story that it told of Kaladin and getting to know Dalinar and everyone like that. And so I love Way of Kings. Way of Kings is probably, I'm not even going to say it's my favourite, because Words of Radiance, the story that tells, is arguably better than Way of Kings, because Way of Kings was set up, essentially, and Words of Radiance is when it really starts to kick in. I feel like this book is almost where it starts to kick in more so of the bigger picture. Like, the first 2 are sort of the baseline of people's gripes, like human to human, is what I'm trying to say. So like, we deal with Amaran and Dalinar and Kaladin and all the frustrations between them, the war on the Shattered Plains, the sort of dealings with the fact that like Kaladin doesn't want to tell everyone about his powers and things like that. So I think now that it's almost, this book is almost right, everything is established, we know all of the facts and figures, now let's get going. And it really does get going, like with the whole Odium set up and everything kicking off, and the Fused and the Everstorm and everything like that. It dives so deep into this fantasy world, and I do love it. I will say, probably out of the 3 books, the as they like to call it, the Sanderlanche of this one in particular is wild. Like, honest to God, my jaw was on the floor from the last 200 pages. Like, from the reveal, and spoilers if you've not read this book, from the reveal that humans are essentially the original Voidbringers, that they are not from this earth, that singers, or whatever you want to call them, the Parishendi, the Parshmen, they inhabited the world before humans, and then humans came along, essentially took over, enslaved Parshmen, and then now they're trying to fight back, and it's this whole moral dilemma of like, well, should we be even trying to fight them because it's their land and we took it? But at the same time, I'm not going to sit back and let like them just kill and enslave all the humans. It's a fun, honest to God, my jaw was on the floor, and from that moment, then the council that Dalinar was so proud of putting together falling and crumbling apart, to the fused just pulling up out of nowhere with odium, the fact that he used the Unmade and the Thrill to essentially enslave the... Oh my God, there is so much that happens in this that I'm even forgetting. Like, the fact that we had sort of the main cast, as you will, aside from a couple, in Shadesmar, like, all of that happened, it's, this book was insane for that whole section. The fighting, the battle, I feel like this is the biggest sort of grand scale. I know we've had grand scale fights in the 2 previous books, but this felt like a serious grand, like, this wasn't about Sadie's pulling a rug over Dalinar's head. This wasn't about anything else other than just utter war and chaos. And the fact that like they had the giant stone creatures, I forgot the names of them now, but the giant stone creatures, and it just felt like a true fantasy book that was phenomenal. Like, honest to God, I don't hope that this gets a movie adaptation. I hope this gets an anime adaptation, because it would do it so much justice. Oh my God, I need to see that. I just loved that final battle. It was so good. I got told that I might hate Dalinar by the end of this. Dalinar is probably my favourite character. I know that's probably a basic answer. I mean, I love Kaladin, don't get me wrong. And oh my God, the moment, hang on, I need to find the exact like part. Also, the fact that Szeth has now swapped sides, crazy. I love his arc. There's so much that happens in this final bit that I forgot. I love Lift. I was a bit confused about the sort of role that they played in the first time like they appeared, but oh my God, it's literally, I don't know how I didn't remember this because it's literally a few words, but it's Teft, Night Radiant. The fact he pulled up and saved Kaladin, and Kaladin like knew and trusted that the bridge men were coming. I love Bridge 4. Bridge 4 is phenomenal. Every character from it, like Rock, and it's just so good. It's such a good little like cast of side characters. I bloody love that we got to dive into people a bit more, like Teft and the rest of them. What a moment. But yeah, I was told that I might not like Dalinar by the end of this book because of the backstory that we get. And I've always known that Dalinar's past is something that would be feared or might be a little bit dangerous, just for the pure fact of like the reputation that he has, that everyone sort of knows him as the Blackthorn, and he's always been feared, and we've never seen it, so I was always a little bit like, well, how can he go from this like absolute killing machine that everyone portrays him to be, to just this sort of diplomatic, nice guy that is just trying to unite them all? And yeah, what a backstory, from killing to... I mean, we always knew that he didn't remember his wife, but that whole sequence, oh my God, of like the moment when he he literally kills her. He orders her execution, really. And then the warpath that he goes on after it, and the failings that he goes on after it, and I feel I don't hate him. I feel sorry for him, if anything. Like, I just don't... It's frustrating. Like, it's frustrating as a character. Like, not that it's frustrating writing, but it's the character that you want to root for and you want to do well. And, like, when he remembers all his memories and goes back to the drink, it's just like, oh, come on, Dalinar, please pull yourself together because the world needs you. Like, oh. And then when he finally does, and it's just, yeah, I can't. You couldn't make me hate Dalinar. You could not make me hate Dalinar. Like I say, the last few 100 pages of this book are just phenomenal. From the writings to the characters to just everything. To be fair, even not neglecting like the first couple 100 pages and the first bits, like when they first get to Urithiru, and like we have moments like Adolin literally just cold-bloodedly killing Sadies and things like that. Oh my god! I forget the king's dead. When I was so the fact as well that it was Moash. What a and then there's things going on with him now. Like he just killed the heralds. Well, not the heralds, plural, just one. And he's like, he's going down a dark path. I almost feel like he's going to be built up to be the main bad guy, and Kaladin is not going to have the strength to kill him, I don't think, because he's a Bridge 4 at heart. But honest to God, the fact that Elhokar got what a moment as well. See, this is what I mean. I didn't love the first half of the book where they were just exploring Urithiru, or however you say it again. But when Kaladin and the King and Adolin and Shallan all go to this and sort of start this like spy espionage style bit, I think that's really cool. I actually loved that whole section of the book, and then everything following that. It was just being in the tower. I just didn't enjoy it as much, but man, what a book. I've read these back to back now with the first three. I'm going to take a break before reading fourth. Just because, like I say, I think I got a little bit burnt out on these books, and I don't know if it wasn't that. It was just the changes in my life that I fell out of the rhythm of reading. But I'm going to my next book that I'm reading, which is going to be Fourth Wing, because I've been putting off reading that, and I know a lot of people wanted me to be checking that out. It was either Fourth Wing or Red Rising. I might do Red Rising straight after it, to be honest, but at the same time, I do still want to jump back into this world, because there's 2 more books that I need to read. There's 2 more that I still need to go at, and even then the series isn't finished. There's still 5 more books that he wants to read, and then we've not even started on Mistborn or any of that series. There is so many Brandon Sanderson pieces of work that I need to read, but I just don't have the time to read them all, Brandon. You're writing them quicker than I can read them, man. But anyways, let me know, what did you think of Oathbringer if you have read it, and I will see you next time on the book club.